For it.
I'm ready. Hi, this is Jessica Muth, Assistant Director of Career Development and Alumni Engagement at Csuci Channel Islands. And today we get to talk to Asia Fee. Really excited. So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Why don't you start by just telling me, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was your major? Yeah, let's start there.
Okay. So like she had mentioned, my name is Asia Fee. I actually graduated this May with my degree in chemistry. I did the Bachelor's of Science route. And yeah, I did my last 2 years at Channel Islands. Actually, I was a transfer student. So I started in my hometown. And after my 2 years there, I transferred to Channel Islands where I pursued the rest of my degree.
Great. And then I'm just going to ask you a few questions today. So starting with, so you have kind of an interesting story. So what are some pieces of advice you would share with someone searching for work right now?
Okay, so obviously we are in a very new time that we weren't anticipating whatsoever. So with everyone working from home, remote positions are really in, especially because a lot of places can't ask you to come in, especially because it's such a high risk. But at the same time, there is such a demand. So it's kind of finding that balance. And I think the best advice I could give, especially to people who are still in school right now, you are probably in the best position for remote positions right now and remote internships. So the most useful resource for me, even after graduating, I still used it, is the portal through Channel Islands where you can do the job search. You can look by the career path you want to do, and you can look by full-time positions, part-time internships. And when I was anticipating moving, I actually used that search to see if there was any sort of work I could do. A lot of them were for students, so I was disadvantaged, but a lot of people can use that because they are students. However, I was actually able to find an internship with a company that I actually still work for today. It's a nonprofit, and they actually work on the East Coast, so I've never met them, but we talk over Zoom every day, and I'm getting such an incredible experience through it. So that would probably be the first place I would look. And then my second piece of advice is starting a LinkedIn, no matter your job experience. There are so many things that you can fill in there besides just the jobs. Obviously, that's the most important, but you can put in the skills, any volunteer work. You can put your coursework, especially if you are a student. It's an awesome resource. You can also find jobs on there, and it's great for networking.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your networking story. Has there been a time that you have actively networked and it led to an internship or a position?
Yes. So this story in particular is very exciting. So a lot of you don't know, but I actually moved from Southern California to Alaska this last month, which was a big life event for me, super exciting. But there was the concern of a job. So I was working as a lab technician, and I had to leave that job to come out here. And the first thing on my mind was, okay, I need a job. And the month leading up to it, I was so nervous because I was applying almost everywhere, but because I was living in a different state, it didn't look good to apply in another state because they're like, well, you don't live here, they're not local. Like, why would we hire you? We don't even know if you're a real person. And so I kind of struggled with that a lot, and I was doing so much research, but in the last couple of months, I've actually been networking with a lot more chemists and people in STEM through Instagram and all social media platforms. And through them, I met someone who I've never met in person. She actually lives on the East Coast, and she's a PhD candidate currently. And she reached out to me and she said, hey, so I had someone DM me asking if they knew like anyone who does cosmetic chemistry. And she said, I don't know anything about that. That is not the chemistry I do, but I know that you started like a small side business where I make cosmetics. And so I was like, oh, this is awesome. And she said, do you want me to send your information? And I was like, well, yeah, like, let's see if this is something real. So she sent me the information, and me and this woman talked back and forth. And after a couple months of talking, I was actually privately contracted to work for them remotely. So they are from Ohio. And even though, so I did sign an NDA and we do have a contract, so I can't share what I'm making necessarily. But basically, I'm making a product for them and I get to send them samples of it, and we talk back and forth through email and through call on like what they want to see in the product and what ingredients they want in it. And it has been so amazing. I never thought there would be something like this, but it was just simply through someone I didn't know but met through social media who knew another person, and it just, I've never met any of these people in my life and they gave me a job position. Like, that's just like crazy to me how we've developed in this world of technology, and remote positions are now bigger than ever because we aren't able to go into some businesses, and some businesses it's a high risk. So it's been so awesome, and I've been working on that, and it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. I got chills. I remember specifically when we had met, I just remember vividly that you had like a clear idea of your interest. You had some really great experience through the internship at CI. Well, not with CI, while you were a student at CI.
Yes.
Yes. And I just, after the appointment, I was like, she's going to be fine. She's going to network. I'm so excited to hear what happens, but I could not have predicted just the power of, yeah, being available and open to remote work and following your skills and interests, and how cool. I was so excited to hear that from you. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So if you're allowed to talk about it, like, are there any trends you've been noticing in your industry, or like any specific advice for getting hired in your industry?
Definitely. So if you're in research, which I know a lot of people aren't, but ResearchGate is a great resource.
Okay.
It's a platform where you can post about your research, whether it's secret or not. You can put it on there and people can read your work, they can cite your work, and you can also find jobs on there. They actually list jobs on there, which is really great.
Okay.
And I found that that's a great resource for chemists as myself. And then, like I mentioned before, like LinkedIn is an awesome resource too, but social media, I would say the biggest platforms right now just to be on and talking to people is Instagram and Twitter. Just the other day, there was one tweet that was going viral because you have someone working for a university research lab, and they were like, we just need someone to do this, we're hiring. And it, like, tweets are only a certain amount of text, right? So it's not
Yeah.
like they can go in detail, but it's just flat out, hey, we need someone for this position. Does anyone know who wants this job? And people will share it, they will retweet it until that position gets filled. And it's something that I feel like is so untouched. Academic Twitter is like where you need to be, and then Instagram is really a great way to show what you're doing in the lab, and that's how you meet others. That's how I found people within my interests, and you can like follow hashtags that lead to people who follow that same path. And there's so many opportunities to find friendships, fellowships, jobs, everything in between. And I think if you can get on those, you will definitely find a great career in chemistry.
Wow. Hearing it here. Chemists are on Instagram.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
definitely.
The power of the power of social media. What would you say to a student, I'm going off script here now, but what would you say to a student who maybe has some hesitations about LinkedIn or social media, or it's one thing to keep up with, or maybe they're not sure what their personal brand should be? What would you say? Just some advice to maybe get your, I don't know, to try, or what do you think?
I would definitely say don't join every single one
Mm,
because it can be overwhelming. Start with one. So say if Instagram, hey, I already have one, maybe I can just change what I post from this point on out. Like, I want to put more academic stuff and showcase like what I do in my field. Go for it. But if like
mm,
Twitter is more of your thing, by all means, blogs are also a great way to network with people. That's what I'm learning too, is people have like personal blogs that they also do, like science blogs, and they're super popular, but then they'll have like a small following on social media. So really finding which platform works for you and then building off of it. So start with one and really build your network up before jumping to another platform, I think would be the
Got
best
it.
advice.
Okay. Okay. Great. Um, so far, and this might be hard to remember, but what do you think is some of the best advice you've received in your career, and how did you use it? How have you used it so far?
Okay. Best advice, best advice. Um, Definitely. So the Twitter one was actually a piece of advice I learned from another very successful chemist.
Oh.
She and I were in class together, and she was like, "Oh, now, yeah, you need to get on Twitter." And that's what led me to have more of an academic Twitter. I actually had one back in like 2016, but I only used it to enter in giveaways. So I went in there and I cleaned it out and I deleted like any post related with that, and it was just like science and like personal achievements only. And oh gosh, it really stuck. But also not being afraid to like reach outside of your field, I
Mm,
think was the best advice. If you stay within a niche, it's kind of hard to branch out.
okay.
So that's something I started looking for. Instead of looking for just one specific thing, I would branch out and look into other opportunities. So that's also why I did the internship through like social media, which is something you'd think like a chemist wouldn't do, but it ended up being something I was decently good at because I was in clubs for chemistry, but I ran the social media and for other classes. So just working on everything that is you. So not just your major, but really using all the great parts of you will help you so much.
Mm. So just kind of, yeah, this all the different parts of you. So I really like that. It sounds like during your time at CSUCI, you took advantage of, yeah, tell me more about clubs. So it sounds like you had a couple different leadership roles, or you were involved in a few different ones on campus.
Oh yeah, I was definitely, I had my hands in a lot of clubs, which in retrospect, I mean, it can be overwhelming for some people, but I came to realize that I really love social interaction and clubs, especially that help the local community, especially when you're new to the community. So I never grew up in the Ventura County area. And anytime I heard about a club that would be like, oh, we're going to go out and do this, I was like, I'm going to sign up for that because it was an opportunity for me to meet people, but also learn about my area. But specifically, the clubs that I was in, I'd say number one is the Free Radicals Chemistry Club. Obviously, you want to be in a club that is about your field. It's going to help you so much because like everything that you need for your field is going to be in that club.
Mm.
And then there's like ones that are in your interest. So like I was actually in the bee club as well. I was the treasurer for the bee club.
Hmm.
And then I was actually on Breaking Point, which is the dance team
Okay.
at CI, and I was also their treasurer. But that was also a creative outlet for me because I did color guard in high school, and they didn't have color guard, but I was still really interested in dance. So again, that was another way to really get my non-STEM outlet like going. So being in a club like that. And then at times, I wouldn't call myself necessarily a member, but I know the Surfrider and Green Generation always had events. And one in particular that was my favorite was kayaking and cleaning up the Channel Island Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first time ever kayaking, and I got to help the environment. So it was super awesome. So I was definitely always going to events on campus, and I was trying to be in any club that fit what I wanted to be. And I just like went with it. And definitely leadership roles are super helpful. And you get to learn more about your club members and the directors for the clubs. It's really good to have.
Thank you. Yes, that's great. And I like how you talked about each one specifically. Yeah, I've worked with a few of them, and it's just so neat to kind of get that extra experience. I wonder, have you ever been asked about any of the experiences, like in an interview? Are they on your resume at all?
To talk about my clubs.
Yeah, I wonder if did any interviews ask you?
You know what? I think the only one where they asked was for the internship I did with social media because I kind of explained what my clubs were because I ran the social media for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So talking about the skills that I learned through being a club member and also like the social media coordinator. That was super important for that interview, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but like, oh, another club I would mention for like STEM is like Sockness, the Sockness chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a great one to be in. That one gets heavily mentioned. So if we're talking about ones that get mentioned in interviews,
Yeah.
that one definitely does. So
Interesting.
it is really well known, especially if you
Mm-hmm.
are in the STEM community. So I think that's another thing. If you can find keywords of like, oh, hey, like, why is someone talking about this like club? You should probably be in it.
Oh, it's great advice. Um, well, speaking about CSUCI, what does the CSUCI community mean to you? And how are you staying connected, or how do you hope to stay connected?
My community was incredible. So I had different types of support. So I had my chemistry cohort, which, oh my gosh, because we are such a like smaller group as opposed to like maybe think psychology, which is like one of the bigger programs,
Mm-hmm.
you really have to stick together on it. So everyone supported each other. If someone was having a hard time on an assignment, we would get together in groups and we would like work it out and study and like help other groups. It wasn't every man for themselves. You would get like the one person who didn't want to help you, but that was like very rare. Everyone helped each other out. And that was probably the biggest support. That's probably what kept me on the graduation path. I think I would have been at CI for a year longer had I not had my lab partner. And then I was actually in the dorms my first year at Channel Islands. Again, I wasn't from the area, so I was like, I cannot find housing. I'm going to live in the dorms. My dorm mates were so stinking supportive. And one of the girls, she worked in, what is the hall that has the food pantry? Um,
mm,
the
Manzanita? No, I made that up. What is it?
It starts with like an A, but it's like right next to the gym. But
Eliso?
it's like the wellness program. And
Eliso Hall?
I don't know. Aliso's the science building, I
Oh
think.
my gosh, don't ask me.
Oh my gosh,
It's
I
been
can't
too
remember.
long that I haven't
This
been
is what
to
happens when we
campus.
don't get to go to campus. We
What
forget what it
happened?
looks like.
That hall.
I think it was Arroyo,
Okay.
maybe.
Yes, it
But
was
she
Arroyo.
worked there. One of my dorm mates, she was very eccentric. She was very outgoing, and she was the type of person who wanted to support you in every way possible. And so she made us go to every event, no matter how big or small it was on campus. So it could be as big as like one of the like block parties, and she'd be like, we're going to that. Or it could be like, hey, we're having a paint night in room 104, and there'd be like 3 people. She's like, we're going. So she was the one that really got me out there. So that got me on like more of a like understanding myself and friendship sort of support.
Hmm.
The dorm mates definitely had me there. And then I had the academic support through my chemistry cohort. And then you have the support of your professors and administrators and club members. So definitely. And I think the biggest support was probably the members of the Softness chapter and then the peer mentors. So the
Hmm.
PEEP program, probably the nicest people you will ever talk to. And I still connect with them to this day. So to tie that back in, they check up on me like all the time, and I get letters from them. I got mail from them before I got mail from my family. So that's how much they stay up to date with me and
Where you
like
are
care
right
about what I
now?
do. Yes. So they were like, what's your PO box? Did you get it yet? I'm like, well, I just got it yesterday. And they're like, all right, we have mail ready for you. I'm like, oh. So they have been incredible. And even though we don't get to see each other, like they've been such a great support for everything that's happened in my life. So it is like so crazy to see, like think about all the people I met at Channel Islands who are still
Yeah.
giving me that support no matter which way I go. It's just been, it's amazing. I still talk to nearly everybody.
Yeah. Oh, that's so neat. Um, well, any last words of inspiration or motivation specifically for someone who might be nervous to relocate or has no idea how to maybe has dreams of moving but is nervous to kind of even embark on that. So any last words of inspiration or motivation for the job search outside of California?
I would definitely say get out of your comfort zone. So obviously you are if you're moving somewhere new, but find people that you want to be like and surround yourself with them. So if you're around people who are very outgoing and want to see the best in you and want to go engage in like activities or events, hang out with those sorts of people and don't be shy to like talk to them, because I guarantee like if they're that like outgoing, they're going to want to be friends with you as well. Like that's just usually their personality. But through those people, I was able to find my own confidence and then be that person for the next who came in. So be the person that you want to have a friendship with after you meet that friend. So like I know that may not make sense, but like find that person and then be that person for the next one.
I like that a lot. I do. Well, I really could talk to you all day. I'm so excited for you. You really are an example of just a true alumni success story, and so excited to kind of see where else you go from here. And yeah, do you miss the sunshine just a little bit? You like the snow over there?
I can't stand hot weather. Honestly, I hate sweating, so I'm enjoying the cold. The wind is probably the only thing. I don't like wind on a good day, so the wind here is pretty nippy. It stabs. It's pretty harsh, but other than that, the weather has just been incredible. It's actually a dry cold,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's not like wet out. You're just stepping on snow. That's really it, and
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
You're digging it. Oh, perfect. Well, are you on, so for students, are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Dolphin Connect? Would you welcome opportunities for a student to connect if your paths cross on LinkedIn?
Oh, definitely. I have people who have DM me and they're like, "Hey, I just noticed you have like Channel Islands in your bio. Like, can we talk about it?" And I'm like, "Yes, what do you need?" And like complete strangers. So like by all means, like you can talk to me on Instagram. You can talk to me on LinkedIn. I definitely have a LinkedIn. I think I have a Dolphin Connect account, but if that
Okay.
doesn't work, like again, I have a lot of social media, so reach out to me in any way you can, and
Okay.
I'll be happy to talk to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was really great to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.